Hello and welcome to day 228 of the Not Alone Today Chronological Bible Reading Plan. Today we'll be reading Ezekiel chapters 40 to 42, still using the English Standard Version.
Ezekiel chapter 40. In the 25th year of our exile, at the beginning of the year, on the 10th day of the month, in the 14th year after the city was struck down, on that very day, the hand of the Lord was upon me, and he brought me to the city. In visions of God, he brought me to the land of Israel and set me down on a very high mountain, on which was a structure like a city to the south. When he brought me there, behold, there was a man whose appearance was like bronze, and with a linen cord and a measuring reed in his hand. And he was standing in the gateway. And the man said to me, Son of man, look with your eyes and hear with your ears, and set your heart upon all that I shall show you. For you were brought here in order that I might show it to you. Declare all that you see to the house of Israel.
And behold, there was a wall all around the outside of the temple area, and the length of the measuring reed in the man's hand was 6 long cubits, each being a cubit and a handbreadth in length. So he measured the thickness of the wall, 1 reed, and the height, 1 reed. Then he went into the gateway facing east, going up its steps, and measured the threshold of the gate, 1 reed deep, and the side rooms 1 reed long, and 1 reed broad, and the space between the side rooms 5 cubits, and the threshold by the gate by the vestibule of the gate at the inner end 1 reed. Then he measured the vestibule of the gateway on the inside 1 reed. Then he measured the vestibule of the gateway 8 cubits, and its jambs 2 cubits, and the vestibule of the gate was at the inner end. And there were 3 side rooms on either side of the east gate. The 3 were of the same size, and the jambs on each side were of the same size. Then he measured the width of the opening of the gateway 10 cubits, and the length of the gateway 13 cubits. There was a barrier before the side rooms, 1 cubit on each side, and the side rooms were 6 cubits on either side. Then he measured the gate from the ceiling of one side room to the ceiling of the other, a breadth of 25 cubits. The openings faced each other. He measured the vestibule 60 cubits, and around the vestibule of the gateway was the court. From the front of the gate at the entrance to the front of the inner vestibule of the gate was 50 cubits. And the gateway had windows all around, narrowing inwards toward the side rooms and toward their jambs, and likewise the vestibule had windows all around inside, and on the jambs were palm trees.
Then he brought me into the outer court, and behold, there were chambers and pavements all around the court. 30 chambers faced the pavement, and the pavement ran along the side of the gates, corresponding to the length of the gates. This was the lower pavement. Then he measured the distance from the inner front of the lower gate to the outer front of the inner court, 100 cubits on the east side and on the north side.
As for the gate that faced toward the north, belonging to the outer court, he measured its length and its breadth. Its side rooms 3 on either side, and its jambs and its vestibules were of the same size as those of the first gate. Its length was 50 cubits, and its breadth 25 cubits, and its windows, its vestibule, and its palm trees were of the same size as those of the gates that faced towards the east. And by 7 steps, people would go up to it and find its vestibules before them. And opposite the gate on the north, as on the east, was a gate to the inner court. And he measured from gate to gate 100 cubits.
And he led me toward the south, and behold, there was a gate on the south. And he measured its jambs and its vestibules. They had the same size as the others. Both it and its vestibule had windows all around, like the windows of the others. Its length was 50 cubits, and its breadth 25 cubits. And there were 7 steps leading up to it. And its vestibule was before them, and it had palm trees on its jambs, one on either side. And there was a gate on the south of the inner court, and it measured from gate to gate towards the south 100 cubits.
Then he brought me to the inner court through the south gate, and he measured the south gate. It was of the same size as the others. Its side rooms, its jambs, and its vestibules were of the same size as the others, and both it and its vestibules had windows all around. Its length was 50 cubits, and its breadth 25 cubits, and there were vestibules all around, 25 cubits long and 5 cubits broad. Its vestibule faced the outer court, and palm trees were on its jamb, and its stairways had 8 steps.
Then he brought me to the inner court on the east side, and he measured the gates. It was of the same size as the others. Its side rooms, its jambs, and its vestibule were of the same size as the others. And both it and its vestibule had windows all around. Its length was 50 cubits, and its breadth 25 cubits. Its vestibule faced the outer court, and it had palm trees on its jambs on either side, and its stairway had 8 steps.
Then he brought me to the north gate, and he measured it. It had the same size as the others. Its side rooms, its jambs, and its vestibule were of the same size as the others, and it had windows all around. Its length was 50 cubits, and its breadth 25 cubits. Its vestibule faced the outer court, and it had palm trees on its jambs on either side, and its stairway had 8 steps.
There was a chamber with its door in the vestibule of the gate, where the burnt offering was to be washed. And in the vestibule of the gate were 2 tables on either side, on which the burnt offering and the sin offering and the guilt offering were to be slaughtered. And off to the side, on the outside as one goes up to the entrance of the north gate, were 2 tables. And off to the other side of the vestibule of the gate were 2 tables. 4 tables were on either side of the gate, 8 tables, on which to slaughter. And there were 4 tables of hewn stone for the burnt offering, 1.5 cubits long, and 1.5 cubits broad, and 1 cubit high, on which the instruments were to be laid with which the burnt offerings and the sacrifices were slaughtered. And hooks, 1 handbreadth long, were fastened all around within, and on the tables the flesh of the offering was to be laid.
On the outside of the inner gateway, there were 2 chambers in the inner court, one at the side of the north gate, facing south, and the other at the side of the south gate, facing north. And he said to me, "This chamber that faces south is for the priests who have charge of the temple, and the chamber that faces north is for the priests who have charge of the altar. These are the sons of Zadok, who alone among the sons of Levi may come near to the Lord to minister to him." And he measured the courts, 100 cubits long and 100 cubits broad, a square, and the altar was in front of the temple.
Then he brought me to the vestibule of the temple and measured the jambs of the vestibule, 5 cubits on either side. And the breadth of the gate was 14 cubits, and the side walls of the gates were 3 cubits on either side. The length of the vestibule was 20 cubits, and the breadth 12 cubits, and people would go up to it by 10 steps, and there were pillars beside the jambs, one on either side.
Chapter 41. Then he brought me to the nave and measured the jambs. On each side 6 cubits was the breadth of the jambs, and the breadth of the entrance was 10 cubits, and the side walls of the entrance were 5 cubits on either side. And he measured the length of the nave 40 cubits, and its breadth 20 cubits. Then he went into the inner room and measured the jambs of the entrance 2 cubits, and the entrance 6 cubits, and the side wall on either side of the entrance 7 cubits. And he measured the length of the room 20 cubits, and its breadth 20 cubits, across the nave. And he said to me, "This is the most holy place."
Then he measured the wall of the temple 6 cubits thick, and the breadth of the side chambers 4 cubits all around the temple. And the side chambers were in 3 stories, one over another, 30 in each story. There were offsets all around the wall of the temple to serve as supports for the side chambers, so that they should not be supported by the wall of the temple. And it became broader as it wound upward to the side chambers, because the temple was enclosed upward all around the temple. Thus the temple had a broad area upward, and so one went up from the lowest story to the top story through the middle story. I saw also that the temple had a raised platform all around. The foundations of the side chambers measured a full reed of 6 long cubits. The thickness of the outer wall of the side chambers was 5 cubits. The free space between the side chambers of the temple and the other chambers was a breadth of 20 cubits all around the temple on every side. And the doors of the side chambers opened on the free space, one door toward the north and another door toward the south. And the breadth of the free space was 5 cubits all around.
The building that was facing the separate yard on the west side was 70 cubits broad, and the wall of the building was 5 cubits thick all around, and its length 90 cubits.
Then he measured the temple 100 cubits long, and the yard and the building with its walls 100 cubits long. Also the breadth of the east front of the temple and the yard 100 cubits.
Then he measured the length of the building facing the yard that was at the back and its galleries on either side 100 cubits.
The inside of the nave and the vestibules of the courts, the thresholds and the narrow windows and the galleries all around, the 3 of them, opposite the threshold, were paneled with wood all around, from the floor up to the windows. Now the windows were covered. To the space above the door, even to the inner room and on the outside, and on all the walls all around, inside and outside, was a measured pattern. It was carved of cherubim and palm trees, a palm tree between cherub and cherub. Every cherub had 2 faces, a human face toward the palm tree on the one side, and the face of a young lion toward the palm tree on the other side. They were carved on the whole temple all around, from the floor to above the door. Cherubim and palm trees were carved. Similarly, the wall of the nave.
The doorposts of the nave were squared, and in front of the holy place was something resembling an altar of wood, 3 cubits high, 2 cubits long, and 2 cubits broad. Its corners, its base, and its walls were of wood. He said to me, "This is the table that is before the Lord." The nave and the holy place had each a double door. The double doors had 2 leaves apiece, each swinging leaves for each door, and on the doors of the nave were carved cherubim and palm trees, such as were carved on the walls. And there was a canopy of wood in front of the vestibule outside, and there were narrow windows and palm trees on either side, on the side walls of the vestibules, the side chambers of the temple, and the canopies.
Chapter 42. Then he led me out into the outer court toward the north, and he brought me to the chambers that were opposite the separate yard and opposite the building on the north. The length of the building whose door faced north was 100 cubits, and the breadth 50 cubits, facing the 20 cubits that belonged to the inner court, and facing the pavement that belonged to the outer court, was gallery against gallery in 3 stories. And before the chambers was a passage inward, 10 cubits wide and 100 cubits long, and their doors were on the north. Now the upper chambers were narrower, for the galleries took more away from them than from the lower and middle chambers of the building, for they were in 3 stories, and they had no pillars like the pillars of the courts. Thus the upper chambers were set back from the ground more than the lower and the middle ones. And there was a wall outside parallel to the chambers, toward the outer court, opposite the chambers 50 cubits long. For the chambers on the outer court were 50 cubits long, while those opposite the nave were 100 cubits long. Below these chambers was an entrance on the east side, as one enters them from the outer court.
In the thickness of the wall of the court on the south also, opposite the yard and opposite the building, there were chambers with a passage in front of them. They were similar to the chambers on the north, and the same length and breadth, with the same exits and arrangements and doors, as were the entrances of the chambers of the south. There was an entrance at the beginning of the passage before the corresponding wall on the east, as one enters them.
Then he said to me, the north chambers and the south chambers opposite the yard are the holy chambers, where the priests who approach the Lord shall eat the most holy offerings. There they shall put the most holy offerings, the grain offering, the sin offering, and the guilt offering, for the place is holy. When the priests enter the holy place, they shall not go out of it into the outer court without laying there the garments in which they minister, for these are holy. They shall put on other garments before they go near to that which is for the people.
Now, when he had finished measuring the interior of the temple area, he led me out by the gate that faced east and measured the temple all around. He measured the east side with the measuring reed, 500 cubits by the measuring reed all around. He measured the north side, 500 cubits by the measuring reed all around. He measured the south side, 500 cubits by the measuring reed. Then he turned to the west side and measured 500 cubits by the measuring reed. He measured it on the four sides. It had a wall around it, 500 cubits long and 500 cubits broad, to make a separation between the holy and the common. This is the word of the Lord.
Thanks be to God.
Just a quick summary of what we've read so far. We've basically read about Ezekiel being shown a temple that is set on a very high hill, and he was told to look and hear and set his heart upon everything he's shown. The measurement of the temple was given, what should be inside, what is the most holy, what the table, which one is to be the table before the Lord. And at the end of all the descriptions and measurements, we read that the wall surrounding the temple is to make a separation between what is holy and common. We will go now and then pick out what stood out to us in each of the chapters.
Yes, for me, what stood out, because at the moment as well, I've been reading Haggai chapter 2, the passage about the glory of the latter house being greater than the former, and the context of that being that the temple that was eventually built when the people returned wasn't as massive and grand as Solomon's temple was. So obviously that temple is nothing like what Ezekiel is describing here. So naturally my mind is going on and on to say, how do we interpret this? Is there still going to be this massive, because the dimensions of what Ezekiel is describing here is way, 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 way bigger than the Solomon's temple. And so on the one hand, I was thinking maybe this is what God meant all the while when he was saying the glory of the latter house shall be greater than the former, not in terms of scale and geography and the physicality of the building, but in the spiritual sense of it, in the sense that actually in that second temple, I mean, that's the temple that eventually Jesus would come to minister in. That's the temple where the veil was torn from top to bottom and granted us access into the Holy of Holies. Because one notable thing in this Ezekiel's temple is that there was no Ark of the Covenant. The Ark of the Covenant was missing, but there was a Holy of Holies, which again kind of just reminds us of the picture of the New Covenant, where every one of us become a royal priesthood and a holy nation. And so yes, it's just that's school of thought of how do we interpret this, how do we understand this, saying that Ezekiel is writing this very meticulous, detailed vision that he received about a future temple, a new temple, which historically nothing is yet to be built that matches exactly what he has described in that sense. So, I mean, most of the verses were about measurement. So it's not like a particular verse stood out to me, but just taking it out holistically in context of this description and the sheer massiveness of this structure makes me think perhaps this is just pointing to us now being the people of God, a temple that now contains Jews and Gentiles as the living temple of God today. How did Paul put it? You are the temple of God, isn't it? Mm-hmm. Your body is the temple of the Holy Spirit. Yeah. What stood out to you?
For me, to the first thing that stood out to me was Ezekiel's part in all of this. He was just told to look and see and set his heart upon everything he's shown. And he was able to record all of this by just looking and seeing. And that's quite instructive to me.
Yeah.
It's a power of observation, isn't it?
Indeed.
I was listening to a podcast yesterday on how that, it wasn't a podcast actually, in my discipleship class, the speaker was talking about how that if you want to learn how to be a tailor, you sit and observe with your boss, with the tailor. If you want to learn to be a mechanic, you sit and observe before they start to let you do things. Then he said in Christianity, why is it that we don't sit and observe the people who have done it before us so that we can see how it has been done in terms of discipleship? How that most of us will give our lives to Christ and then just carry off that way without observing or doing life on life with people, with Christians who have had a grasp, in a sense, of what it is to be a Christian and things. So when I read that, I remember what was said in my discipleship class. And the second thing that stood out to me was how that there's so many controversies with this temple. Some are saying it should be the new temple, that it should be the new temple after the one that is built in Jerusalem. However, some people are saying it's a symbolic heavenly temple, in that it's what God would have intended to be if the Israelites had come back and repented of their iniquities. And I think there was a part in chapter 43 from 10 to 11, how that Ezekiel was told to describe the house of the temple to the people of Israel so that they can be ashamed, they may be ashamed of their iniquities, and they shall measure the plan. And again, when I read one of the commentaries, they're saying that Ezekiel was the second person that God gave measurement of a sanctuary like he did to Moses, and that in Isaiah chapter 2 from 2 to 3, there was a prophecy that the mountain of the Lord's temple will be established as chief among the mountains, and it will be raised above the hills, and all nations will stream to it, alluding to the fact that this is what God intended. And it's possible that it's still a symbolic heavenly temple that is to come, where all nations will then stream to it. Maybe in the new heavens, who knows?
Yeah, indeed. And it's possible that all nations now refers to what Brother Paul was helping us understand in the New Testament, that the body is now made up of Jews and Gentiles, and there are really no Jews, no Gentiles, because everybody has become one, as it were, in Him. In which case the body of Christ now becomes the latter temple, as it were, in that sense. We'll continue the reading on day 229. Join us again. Until then, just remember, you're not alone.
Today, God bless you.